You hear it everywhere, right? The big question about AI is always, will a robot take my job? But what if we're all asking the wrong question? The data is starting to show that the real threat, it isn't about job replacement at all. It's something way more subtle, and honestly, it's already happening.
Okay, so just to get a sense of the scale we're talking about, research from Anthropic found that a whopping 94% of the tasks a financial analyst does could, in theory, be automated by AI. Now, when you see a number that high, it feels like, yep, the robots are coming for all of us.
But see, that's exactly where the whole story kind of goes off the rails. Because if you only focus on automating tasks, you are missing the much bigger picture. And frankly, the much more interesting one. So the real shift here, it isn't about replacement. It's about a total reshaping of what a job even is. It's a fundamental change where your value isn't just about what you can do, it's about what you're willing to be responsible for. Okay, think of it this way. What's the difference between a navigator and a driver? The AI, like your GPS, is the perfect navigator. It can do the task of finding the best route way better than any human can. But it can't take on the role of the driver. It can't get sued if there's a crash, right? It has no idea if a passenger is nervous, and it can't make a judgment call to skip a sketchy neighborhood late at night. That's a human job. This whole thing has a name: the Great Professional Decoupling. It just means your job title isn't one solid thing anymore. It's really just a bundle of different tasks. And while AI can gobble up the routine parts of that bundle, sure, it totally chokes on the most critical ones: judgment, context, and at the end of the day, liability. Someone's got to sign on the dotted line, and that someone has to be a person. And look, this isn't just some academic theory. We're literally watching this liability firewall get built brick by brick across every single industry, and it's proving exactly why AI just can't take over a professional role. We're actually in the middle of what experts are calling a hallucination epidemic. I mean, just look at this chart. The number of documented cases where AIs have just made up legal facts for court filings has exploded from only 10 in 2023 to a projected 800 by the end of 2025. And this isn't a bug they're going to fix. It's kind of a feature of how these models work. And that creates enormous professional risk. And oh boy, do these have real-world consequences. We're not talking about some tiny startup here. In April 2026, Sullivan and Cromwell, a top-tier Wall Street law firm, had to issue a formal apology to a federal judge because they filed a document filled with AI-generated lies. The AI can't say sorry, it can't get disbarred. The human partner, they had to take all the heat. And it's not just a problem for lawyers. Air Canada got slapped with a lawsuit because its chatbot literally just invented a bereavement policy. Then you have Commonwealth Bank in Australia, which tried to replace its entire call center with AI. The whole system just fell apart, and senior execs had to get on the phones themselves. See the pattern? AI is awesome for a single contained task, but it completely fails at managing the complex system of tasks that makes up a real job. And when you get to medicine, the stakes are, well, they're life and death. A 2025 study showed an AI model missed almost 31% of breast cancers. Now, it was actually great at spotting some tumors doctors missed, but it had these massive, systematic blind spots. It was basically blind to cancers and dense tissue and kept missing smaller tumors. When you're talking about someone's life, you just can't outsource that final call. You need a human expert managing the machine. Okay, so what does all this mean for your career? Because this isn't going to hit everyone the same way. It's creating these very distinct risk zones across the entire job market. So, work from the Tufts Fletcher School breaks it down into about 3 zones. You've got the red zone, super high risk. Think basic coding, data entry, jobs based on structured, text-based work. The yellow zone, that's where most of us professionals live. Lawyers, doctors, roles where human oversight is an absolute must. And then there's the green zone, which is basically protected by the brick wall of physical reality: trades, nursing, cybersecurity. But, and this is a big but, there's something researchers call the green zone paradox. This graph tells a pretty scary story. The jobs that are safest from AI also tend to be the lowest paid. I mean, nearly 40% of jobs in the US are physically AI-proof, but a lot of them are near the poverty line. So the answer isn't to run for the hills and get a safe job, it's to figure out how to manage the machine. Which brings us to the next really crucial point here. Because even if your job is totally safe from being replaced, the economic ground is shifting under all of us in ways that are powerful, but also kind of hidden.
They call this wage shrinkflation. It's like, yeah, your salary might get a small 4% bump, but the actual value of your compensation package is shrinking. Your family health insurance costs are going up way faster. Companies are forcing a return to the office, so there go your savings from remote work. And workloads are insane because companies expect one person, with AI, to now do the work of two or three. And what you get is this, a K-shaped split in the market. This data from Bank of America makes it painfully clear. Since ChatGPT launched, the top 25% of earners, their wages are taking off. Everyone else, they're either stuck in place or falling behind inflation. It couldn't be clearer. AI is rewarding the person who can direct it and punishing the person who's just doing routine tasks. So, the big question is, how do you make sure you're on the upper part of that K, not the lower one? You need a new playbook, not just for surviving this, but for actually thriving. Look, surviving in this new world is all about building what you could call your metacognitive muscle. It really comes down to three things. First, tool selection. You have to know which AI to pull out of the toolbox for a really high-stakes job. Second, interpretation and auditing. You've got to be the one who can spot the AI's mistakes and take full responsibility for the final product. And third, metacognition. This is huge. It's knowing what you don't know and knowing where the machine's knowledge just stops and your expertise has to kick in.
And hey, don't just take it from me. Listen to what the people who are building this stuff are telling their own kids. Daniela Amodei from Anthropic, her advice is be flexible, focus on critical thinking. Ben Gomes from Google says forget the mechanics, focus on the big concepts. But Jaime Teven at Microsoft, I think she nails it. She says AI can have opinions, but it cannot take responsibility. That is the role of the human.
So at the end of the day, your best defense isn't going to be some fancy degree or learning to code Python. It's building your own personal human firewall. And it stands on three pillars that no algorithm is ever going to replicate: responsibility, trust, and judgment. So if you remember one thing, make it this. Your value isn't about what you can produce anymore. It's about what you can decide. The single most valuable skill in the coming decade is going to be knowing that exact line, where the machine stops and where your judgment has to take over. So the real question isn't if an AI will take your job, it's how are you going to become that indispensable human firewall?